Good Monday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center with the latest on very dangerous Hurricane Iota here, folks. A Category 5 storm. So you see that on satellite right now. We're continuing to track it here very carefully in the Weather Center as it moves towards Central America. And you can just see how well defined it is here. I mean, you can really get a grasp of the situation as the hurricane hunters are in here trying to get the very latest data here. So we'll get over to that some more here in a moment as we continue to watch this situation here very carefully. What I do want to go to right now, though, just real quick, I know some of you may be just tuning in from the local area. I just want to say that the radar here is clear right now, so we'll pop that on here in just about 10 seconds or so. As we get that loaded into the computer, you'll be able to see how nice things are in the north central Florida tonight. As the conditions here are staying pretty dry, as that's something that you guys definitely want to see. I know we had Ada move through here the other day, but it wasn't too impactful, and that's some good news for sure. But we'll go ahead and pop this on real quick. You see just the old ground clutter pattern right now, so that's some great news for everybody if you're interested in the local area, North Florida, South Florida, similar store toward Tallahassee. But it's going to get a little cool tonight, and we'll get into more details on that here in a few minutes. But getting back here toward Iota, a major Category 5 storm. Those maximum sustained winds around 155 miles an hour, so an extreme 160 miles an hour, excuse me. So an extremely dangerous situation for these areas here towards Central America. Again, we're just wanting to make sure people know what's going on, though a lot of people probably don't, because this is again really where we saw Ada make landfall here. I've been talking about it. I know I talked about it this morning on Twitter, and it's just an area that's really vulnerable to storms like this. And it's not going to be a good situation. As I go ahead and take the hurricane hunter information off, I noticed the number's not quite as high as what we were seeing earlier, so it may not actually really be a Cat 5 anymore, but they didn't want to drop it at the Hurricane Center. I know I was waiting a few minutes to come on just to get the very latest information from them down in Miami, and they decided to keep this at a Category 5 with the max sustained winds actually at 160. So right now the Hurricane Hunter information, the highest wind found so far at least at 116 knots, which gets us to 134 miles an hour. So it's something we'll have to continue to watch. So the pressure does seem to be just a bit lower. So that's a factor in it. It's kind of maintaining that intensity here right now. But a classic look of a hurricane here, folks. Just it really tells the story how dangerous of a situation we're talking about. 4 parts of Nicaragua once again just being impacted as we get that latest imagery to update it. It gets closer to the coast right now, moving there in toward the region. I'm going to go ahead and try to measure things out just a little bit, and we're only about 25 miles from the coast, so landfall here within the next few hours or so. Just going to have some big time problems toward that region. As we put some things back on for a second, you can see it's going to weaken down to a Cat 3 as we look ahead to later on tonight. This gets us to about 1 a.m. Central, or excuse me, 1 a.m. Eastern, 12 a.m. Central time toward this area. So again, just a unbelievable storm, the strongest we've seen all year long in the Atlantic Basin. The strongest one since Lorenzo we had there as a Cat 5 for a few hours last year, but then Dorian was the last one to really hit land at a strength like this. It was even stronger than this as it was heading to Bahamas, causing all that devastation. But the first storm since Dorian to really be having an impact here toward these land areas as a Category 5. So just send your thoughts and prayers down there. Catastrophic winds, life-threatening storm surge, torrential rainfall in Central America. The second really bad storm in 2 weeks. I mean, it's pretty much, and it's hard to compare storms, but it's pretty much like an area getting a Hurricane Charlie 1 week, and a couple weeks later getting a Hurricane Michael, the same area pretty much. And that's really not happened much in history at all. And this is the latest also Cat 5 we've ever seen here in the Atlantic Basin as well. So I never had one this far in toward November before. The other one we had in November was earlier on, so it just kind of tells the story how bizarre of a situation this is. It kind of goes to show just how crazy of a year it's been here as well. So just again, that eye is just so well defined, and we got again a Cat 5 storm here getting closer to the coast as we look toward parts of Nicaragua. So Honduras getting the impacts here as well. I know that hurricane warning goes for the coast of Nicaragua from the Honduras Nicaragua border there as we're looking down to the south, and then also the coast of northeastern Honduras there as well. So just got to watch that threat. We're talking about really significant storm surge there, 20 feet maybe, talking about rainfall amounts 30 inches. You kind of get the idea. Not a good situation at all. A tragic situation, no doubt, for these areas in toward parts of Nicaragua. So right now we're going to look at some of those weather stem cameras here as we bring it back to home. We'll continue to watch the situation down in the tropics. Again, a Category 5 storm here making landfall in just a little bit. Though by the time it actually makes landfall officially, you might be talking about a storm that's just under that Category 5 intensity, but we're just going to continue to watch it because no matter what, the impacts that they're going to feel in the region there are going to be serious. They're going to be severe, as just continue to watch such a well-defined image here on our infrared satellite. So weather stem right now, though, we're going to take it over toward northern Florida first off, and we haven't seen this camera in a while. This is the Lodi Elementary School weather stem camera, and you can see the dark skies are the story there. You're seeing the weather pretty clear, though, and it's going to cool down tonight. So make sure you have that jacket on hand. You don't need anything really heavy, but it's going to get pretty cool, which we'll talk about in that full forecast here in a few minutes. Now let's go ahead and get over toward the baseball grounds camera in toward Jacksonville, and you can see some of those lights around the city there lit up, but conditions pretty tame too. And then toward Gainesville, where I'm sure they're still celebrating that blowout win that the Gators had against Arkansas on Saturday, as they're highly ranked still in toward that AP poll. So they're going to be looking ahead toward Vanderbilt this weekend. That should be a really easy win for them, and it's looking like, unless things really deteriorate with that team, they're going to be going to the SEC championship game and probably playing Alabama there. So that's something that they're going to be looking forward to for sure. Now, on the flip side, unfortunately, my alma mater at FSU there, just trying to improve, really taking it game by game, trying to just trust the process per se, and really try to just see what they can do that's different, as they're just trying to look ahead even toward next year by these incremental improvements, like playing Clemson this week. You're probably not going to get to win, but you just want to make some plays. You want to have that effort on every play, and just really try to make sure you're in that shape where you do have that potential to beat teams like Clemson in 2021. So as we go ahead now and move away from the weather stem camera tour, we'll go ahead and pop on our satellite once again real quick. Just an unbelievable shot there, but let's kind of transition away from that for now. We'll look at real quick at wind gusts here, and there's only one really showing up on the map, and it's kind of on the fringe, not even tropical force gust. If you can kind of see what I'm talking about, I'll step out of the way real quick. It's right on the fringe of things, but I'll now step back into the shot, and we'll get toward our local area now by checking out some of these temperatures, and you're going to kind of see that cool down here. 61 toward Keystone, 61 toward Jacksonville, a little cooler there off toward the west, 55 Tallahassee, 56 Albany. You kind of get the idea. We have some of that cool air coming in. And then in terms of those winds, we're not talking about the numbers really around tonight. We're going to be watching some of that wind coming into focus here, into the picture. As we get toward your Wednesday toward Tallahassee, I know, and that could end up keeping some temperatures up a little. We'll have to wait and see, but it's just something to kind of let you know about it. Some inside baseball, but I know we got that latest information on Iota here just a little while ago. I was trying to gather that as we were coming on, and now I don't have the track updated because that doesn't technically update, but the position would on this map if I entered it into the computer. But I did update the advisory information here on this, and the movement west at 9 still, that pressure down a little to 918 millibars, that maximum sustained wind at 160 miles an hour, just a historic Category 5 storm here, going to be making landfall later on into toward Nicaragua, and they're going to be having that impact, that flash flooding, that storm surge, those extreme winds, just a devastating scenario there toward the south as we look at that Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale, the catastrophic damage in some of these spots. It's just not a good scenario whatsoever. Now, luckily, I do need to emphasize here, though, that unlike what we saw with Eta there, unlike what we saw with that storm, it should not go to the north. It should not threaten our area. And that's some great news for everybody here. It shouldn't threaten the United States whatsoever. That's not looking like that's going to be on the table here because of that cool air coming into the picture. Overall, the pattern just isn't favorable for this to go up. It should just go off toward that west, maybe even eventually get into the Pacific here, depending on how much it holds together. So that's some good news here toward the United States. But again, Central America and our thoughts and prayers once again, as they got Eta there so bad, and now Iota could actually be a little bit worse. This is going to add insult to injury, as we're on our 30th named storm of the season, the most we've had in recorded history, folks. What a hurricane season it's been. And we could get another system in that general area to develop here soon, as we're looking toward the area down there, talking about Kappa maybe, as we're not really supposed to be seeing this time of year, but it's 2020 and really things are just happening here in the tropics, and just overall that really aren't expected to occur. So we're going to go ahead now and look at that rainfall forecast. You see the next 7 days here, some rain toward the east here, maybe even some off the East Florida coast here, or Northeast Florida coast, but overall the threat's pretty low, and that's some good news, something to kind of be happy about. As we've been showing you here on our Doppler radar technology, I'll pop up our radar scope computer once again. You'll be able to see what is happening, and not much going on, just that old ground clutter pattern pretty much. I know we had some of that fog earlier, but the conditions pretty nice overall, and again, that's some good news for everybody around our region. As we now go ahead and get you toward that extended forecast. Again, that cooler weather in the picture. We've been talking about it, 72 tomorrow, about average, but then maybe a little below average for Wednesday, 68. You see, as we get toward Thursday, Friday, warming back up some, and those temperatures here in the morning also warming up a little bit toward Jacksonville, Gainesville. I know some of you looking forward to high school football Friday night. The Bradford High School Tornadoes did get that win last Friday night against Keystone, so they move on in the 4A playoffs there, high school football playoffs, and they're going to take on another team they've already played earlier this year, South Sumter. They came up short against them the first time, but they're going to try to get the win this time here on the road. So pretty tough, but definitely going to continue to put that effort forth, and anything can happen in the high school football playoffs, as we've already seen in some of the local matches and matchups. So we're going to go ahead and now get toward Tallahassee, Valdosta. Now you can see cool weather here the next few days, nice weather, talking about some of that in the picture too, but I mean, you do need a jacket for sure. The next few mornings, 42, 43, 42, below average for this time of year. So there's something you're definitely going to be watching here across the region. We've also been watching some of that wind that's been coming into the picture here toward parts of the United States, bringing power outages to Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. And we're going to go ahead and pop up the map here right now, our poweroutage.us map, so you can see what I'm talking about in the storyline. And right now, Michigan here with the most power outages, 118,000 or so customers in the dark. They had quite a bit of wind energy coming on through there, eastern Michigan, southeastern Michigan. We're really seeing some pretty high numbers here as you get toward Detroit, Wayne County there. So just something that they've been focusing on. And then we'll go back to the overview real quick. You see Ohio, Pennsylvania there as well, lesser numbers toward those states, but something definitely to keep an eye on. So just going to go ahead and hope they get their power back on pretty soon, but it doesn't take a hurricane even to knock out power. Just a line of damaging wind action coming on through can definitely do it. So just got to continue to see how things evolve there, and hopefully the power comes back on pretty soon. But right now we're going to go ahead and move back on camera here in about 5 seconds. We'll go ahead and do that here shortly as we continue to start to wrap things up now. And there's local temperature again. You see 61 Keystone, 61 Lake City. So again, pretty nice overall out here. But the big story is the system toward our south with Iota, as we go ahead and load that information back on. What a storm it is. Just a terrifying look to it as it gets even closer to the coast here. That movement, I'll zoom in really tight to that eye. I mean, just unbelievable seeing something like that here on our graphic system, on our infrared satellite. as we measure the center to eye landfall here about 24-25 miles away. So probably landfall right when they see that main advisory here at 10 o'clock, it seems, or just before there. So a bad situation for Central America, a historic storm, the latest we ever had, a Category 5 in the Atlantic Basin, and it's headed for land, not going to head toward the U.S. It doesn't look like, though. So that's some great news, at least, as we continue just to look at that scenario that's so serious for those folks. Just unreal to have another storm developing, our 30th named storm, and this one's the strongest we've had all season. Again, so serious for Nicaragua down there in that region, Central America, Honduras as well, getting some of the action. So just really got to keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Now, in terms of some of our updates here the next few days, now if something were to evolve that we need to come on for, of course we'll do so. But luckily, we don't have too much going on besides this, of course, down there. I'm talking about as we look toward the United States not having too much going on. And that means that we're going to take some time off here to be able to do some different things with the studio, trying to go ahead and perform some maintenance. So we'll be back here on Friday with your sports weather. But we're off the next few days as we do that. So, again, just keep everybody down there towards Central America in your thoughts and prayers. It's Category 5, major Hurricane Iota. Is going to cause more devastation to an area already really devastated there by Eta as we're looking back just a couple weeks ago. So, again, it's just so serious for them. Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe out there, as it's going to be a little cool around here, but overall not too much to worry about, as we have a pretty nice picture. You saw a little bit of rain, and the rain chances there as we look toward our weekend per se. Talking about Thursday, Friday, maybe getting into our Saturday as well, but nothing that's so serious that we really need to start emphasizing it here at this point. Have a great night, everybody. I'll be back on Friday.